Hello and welcome. I am Joylyn Blake, and I am the director of Scholé Academy, and I'm joined by the wonderful, beloved Kat Wise, who is an instructor for us. And we just wanted to have a quick conversation today about one of the courses of the many courses that Kat teaches, and just to get to know and allow families to the opportunity to know a little bit more about that course. So, Kat, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you teach.
One of the most important things about me is that I love to read. And so anytime I can have people talking about books with me, I'm thrilled. So I love that I get to teach literature with kids who are either coming to books for the first time or are already in love with the material we're reading. It is a dream. And I often leave class just on this emotional high of like, I can't believe I get to do this. So I teach a classic children's literature class. It's number 6 on the website. And we tackle some great texts. I'll tell you about them in a little bit, I guess, but they're a lot of fun.
Yes, classic children's lit. It's a popular course, and I would love to hear not only how much you love to teach it, but students themselves. Have you heard anything from them about things that they love or get really geeked out about?
I have, they're delightful. It is so fun to have like deep conversations with young people and realize that they are perfectly capable of coming up with insight and ideas that have never occurred to me. I learn plenty from them as well. I actually just had a student write haikus about me this week. Let me see. I have it here. Okay. This was a book club that we just finished. So I have Miss Catherine Wise, Conqueror of Literature, Poetry and Books. Book club is so fun, especially with Mrs. Wise. Wait, especially, oh, the syllables are throwing me off, guiding us through it. And I thought, so much. We have end of book celebrations where everybody brings hot chocolate or another treat to class. We have, we memorize poetry. We do a lot of really fun things, and I get good feedback. The kids are enthusiastic. They're just so creative, and it's just such a treat to get to watch them shine.
Well, I hear the same thing. In fact, observing the waiting lists that develop for your courses, I know that they are strongly in demand. So, what about parents? Parents of those kiddos, what do they say maybe that they particularly appreciate about the class?
Yeah. A couple of things that come to mind. One, and I love this, that is that it has helped their own family read aloud time become more consistent. So a couple families have actually taken the reading list from our course and used it to read, the assigned reading as a family. And I love that so much, especially because a few of the books we read are one in a family of books. And so there's so much potential to keep going. So I love knowing that this is not just, I mean, it's fine if it's a student just reading their homework by themselves, but I also love hearing that the whole family is reading these books together. And then another thing that I've gotten feedback about is just my willingness to meet students where they are. I have heard from parents whose children need to be pushed more and need to be asked, held to a higher standard than what they're currently receiving. And so I, can interact with that student in one way, but then I hear from parents whose child is maybe struggling in certain areas. And I'm able to, I try to tell parents, I'm assisting you, I'm working for you. And so whatever your goals are for your student, that's what I want to help you meet. And so I'm able to just come to whatever, wherever they are and try to come alongside the parents in their goals for their students.
That, as a parent, I know that is extremely reassuring. Now, speaking of reassurance, you spoke about these parents who already have read aloud times and they take those book lists, and that seems to indicate, parents who already have some sort of homeschooling rhythm. But we also have
Mhm.
families who maybe are coming to homeschool brand new, and it's intimidating and nerve-wracking, and maybe even they have some past experience with maybe during COVID or something where online learning was perhaps not so pleasant. So is there anything that you can calm those hearts about, or how are maybe Scholaic classes a bit different from what they may have experienced in another format?
Sure. Well, I will just say there's such a difference between having material prepared and then having to completely pivot and change everything about how you were planning to have that classroom discussion or project or whatever, versus planning with the virtual format in mind. And so I have the honor of being one of many excellent Scholé Academy instructors, and I have learned so many neat ideas. And every time I talk to other instructors, I'm getting new ideas, new ways to incorporate creative options or other, just the virtual tools that we have available to us are fantastic. And so it is not just taking what you would do in a real live, like physical classroom and trying to copy that. We're doing something different. And it's really a beautiful, powerful thing. So we are always learning and it's always changing, but we have some neat virtual options that are available to us. So it does not have to be that, we're trying to fit something that wasn't made this way, but we're trying to fit that square peg into a round hole. It's pretty different from that.
Oh, yes, completely agree. So, any last things you would want families to know, either about your courses in general or about this particular course that we've been discussing, the Children's Lit, and maybe give us some little tidbit of what they actually read or what they can expect?
Sure. Sure. I can show you. I have most of my books here. I can show you a few. I mean, who isn't excited about reading The Hobbit, right? I love this copy of it. It's beautiful. And what I love is that actually Mrs. Johansson just started children's literature number 7. And so she's actually starting the Fellowship of the Ring after. And so it was so much fun. I kept pitching it, just the series and the class, to my students this last year, because it's just the beginning of a great adventure. I don't want them to stop here. I could say similar things about all of the Chronicles of Narnia. We read The Silver Chair in this class, and man, it is great. We read in the context of the virtues, specifically faith, hope, and charity. And so each of these books highlights different ones of those virtues. And so we spend time focused on that. And reading The Silver Chair, looking for examples of faith, really transformed how I encountered the book. So it is just so much fun. And then something I'm doing this year that's new is a little bit of Shakespeare. Listen, I am usually pretty anti-adaptation, but Shakespeare was made to be watched, not read initially. And so, to see performed. And so we are going to do a little bit of a graphic novel here because we do some memory work from the play. And last year I just tried to explain the plot, and I wanted the students to have the actual experience of Shakespeare's words. So this is a very condensed version. It's not the same as as watching it or as reading it, but I'm excited to experience that with my students this year. So there's a lot I'm excited about.
Well, I am fascinated, one, because I hadn't seen that graphic novel and I am intrigued. And two, I want to sign up for the Silver Chair with you. Because I remember even as a child, as I read through all the Chronicles of Narnia and as a young person, the Silver Chair was one that I felt like it was just out of reach somehow, that there was something that I couldn't access, but I sensed there was this depth there, so I think doing it with a guide is such a wonderful, rich opportunity for them. So any last words from you, Kat, that you want to speak to families or parents about this Children's Lit course that they can enroll in?
Well, I'd be honored to have any of your students. It is such a sweet time. We had several sibling sets last year. There's just such an opportunity for growth and development as people and as students. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Indeed, you will not regret any course you take with Miss Kat Wise. Thank you so much for being with me today, Kat. I really enjoyed our time.
Of course. Thank you.